Yes, good morning and welcome to May 5th, the tradingology.com trading room. So you were not hearing me, but I was hearing you. So there's always got to be some kind of fun going on, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, happy Cinco de Mayo.
yes, this was supposed to be originally the day that the stay-at-home order was done. So it was going to be an extra way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, but they've extended it just about everywhere.
Fortunately, that is true. Good morning, Ishan.
Interesting little push up in all the markets currently.
Yeah, I guess it has nothing to do with the fact that the Fed announced, they're going to do $3 trillion in stimulus. Nothing to do with that at all,
It's just unbelievable.
isn't it? It's incredible, really.
I mean, you try and compare it to the previous QEs, and it's
Yeah,
just not even funny.
yeah.
But you have to laugh because it is. Because if you don't, you cry.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Just like Mike Maloney keeps saying,
I
because
know. I think that's
every
probably.
time he quotes those numbers, it's incredible. Good morning, Andre.
I actually just finished the rest of his book last night, so I think it's fresh in my head of how it took like what was it, 20, 40, 100 years to get to point 0.8 trillion
Yeah,
in just monetary supply, and how it's just fictionary now.
yeah, yeah. It's absolutely insane. I think pretty crazy.
And I keep seeing more and more discussions of this 2,000 a month. Are you seeing that as well?
I am. A lot of people are saying it's going to be 2,000 a month for everybody, not just low income or medium income, or if they're going to include high income now too.
Right. I think I've seen it's up to like $250,000 owners or somewhere around there. So it's like, yeah, that's a lot of, and that's not even in these packages that they're talking about, unless it is and they haven't designated it yet.
Yeah, I guess the Democrats have one plan, the Republicans have another plan, but it looks like there's a lot of support for doing something pretty big at this point. Which, I guess big is relative because I thought 2008, 2009 QE 1, 2, 3, 4 were big.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you wonder what good old
big.
Ben's thinking right now.
Who?
Ben Bernanke.
Oh, yeah, helicopter Ben.
Yeah, he's like, I thought I did a lot.
Yeah,
Look at these guys.
yeah. I think everybody took a little note from his book and said, "Yeah, that's the way to go."
That's probably what it is too. They probably have this little book that they pass on and they hide somewhere. They find like in the president's book that they had in that movie where all the president's secrets are in one book. They have all the Fed chairman's secrets in one book, and if you get in trouble, do this.
Yeah, yeah, the playbook. Andre says, guys found out that one of the Ripple founders with with their competitor received a huge amount of XRP. How may that affect the price when he starts selling big time? Who? I'm not sure who you're talking about. If it's Jed McCaleb, that's been around a long time. He's had that a long time ago. He stopped selling like last June or so. Yeah, Jed McCaleb, who helped found Ripple and the XRP ledger, left with 6 billion, I believe, 6.5 billion XRP. He's been selling by contract. They did a contract with him. He could only sell a few million every month. Last June, he stopped selling completely. He didn't sell any, and now he's starting to pick up again. He started selling some more this month, but I think all the sales that he's doing of XRP go into Stellar, the Stellar Foundation, to help support that. So you might want to pick up some XLM. Who knows?
That's exactly like we were talking about last time. Is don't be all in on just one. You know, it all depends on what you can buy for where you live. But yeah, I was
Yeah,
watching. Yeah, speaking of that, I pulled him up just so I could look at him quickly. Is let me make sure here. I think it's safe. Turn off these stupid ads. Nice move on Hedera, if anyone was watching that. Did you
Yeah, it's had a couple of really nice days. Also, there was something else. There was another coin that went up a lot too.
nice up to 40 here on Hedera Hashgraph the last couple days? I woke up on the weekend. I'm like, whoa, look at that. It
And
was,
you got some Hedera, don't you?
yep, I'm in here, so I'm happy right now.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I picked up some XLM a couple weeks ago when we started talking about it. I also picked up some Link.
Yeah, that's on my list. I have my shopping list of Link, ADA, XLM. I'm waiting for a couple transfers for some more funds in Binance since I could do like 3 of them right there.
Yeah. But Andre, they're not a competitor, I don't think. Actually, there's a lot of evidence lately that they're working together on some projects. They're not really a competitor. I think they're compatible in the same space, which is I don't know which. I guess it's payments. So you're talking about a payment space. Ripple and XRP has been used specifically for business-to-business payments, cross-border payments, businesses, and institutions. Stellar is really focused on projects like Zelle, who are consumer-to-consumer payment systems. And so I don't see them as competitors. All I see them as complementary to each other.
Yeah, different use cases, right? From commercial to
right
everyday.
Yeah, B2B and compared to C2C.
Big gap up.
Yeah, that's why I got both right now. I think they'll both do well. The consensus mechanism, I think, is superior to proof of work.
So, absolutely. My opinion. Yeah. That's part of why I really like the Hedera too, is it's a variation of that. They're building on top of a similar consensus theory.
Yep. Absolutely. So interesting market. Looks like the internals are strongly bullish.
Just barely below the 2,000 mark right now.
Yeah.
All above here, all above 0.8, 83 on the internals over here.
So looks like it blew through all of your all the person's pivots, and your
yeah, we're up in the area. It's had such a decent move that it's got lots of room to run now. There's nobody in the way.
So there's nothing up above there?
Yeah, we could have a big run for sure.
Wow.
Let's see where the next one is. Yeah, 20. Oh, that's the end one too. That turquoise or whatever light blue color that is.
Yeah.
That's like the last Camarilla point.
Wow, that's like 100 and how many points away is that? I can't see it on the screen.
That's 20 away. 2893.
Oh, 20. Okay.
So yeah, about 20 away.
That would put another 200 points on the Dow, which would bring us up to about 600.
And then the pivot itself, the next one's going to be even farther. These are my old lines from a different day. There's the other one. 2940 is the next person. So yeah, that's a lot of room in between there with a little, maybe a little pause on the way.
Yeah.
If they really get fired up.
Morning, Stephen. I mean, besides the $3 trillion in stimulus, there's not a whole lot of news going on in the market. There are the bills that are pending. They really want to do something big. Like they haven't done anything big yet.
Well, above that one too, that surfaced like 4 or 5 times, right? The 2,000 that we initially started talking about was, last I saw, was based on like unemployment levels too. So it would continue until, I haven't seen a number yet, but I've seen it says this will continue like 2,000 a month per person. Married couples will get 4,000 plus 500 a kid. And they also included 17-year-olds in this one. So if you're 18 and you filed, it's 2,000. And if you have children, 5,000 for that. So there's a lot of families here that are looking at $4,500, $5,000 a month on top of their work. So it's not only for unemployment people. They're talking for everybody until the main unemployment levels get down to normal levels again. Like 6 months up to a year is what I've read about this so far.
What do they consider normal levels?
I haven't seen that definition yet.
Because if they're talking about going back to 3.5% unemployment, it's going to take years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's opening the doors for what we don't want. And that S word.
Well, think what happens when every person in the United States gets an extra $4,500 to $5,000 a month in income.
Oh, and it's already happening too, in some instances where people are getting mad. We might have talked about this. I forget who it was I was talking about it with. Is they're not happy with their employers because they're bringing them back to work because they're getting these programs. It's like, no, I was making more money sitting at home.
Yeah, I mentioned it last Thursday. I saw an interview with this woman who owned a small business, and her employees were really kind of mad at her for trying to apply for this paycheck program because they didn't want to go back to work. They're making more staying home.
Right. Yeah. So between that and then just high level, you think about it, and this is what I've always learned from Mike, and he's just reinforced it, right? Is, yeah, if you suddenly create $3 trillion, what does that do to the rest of the money or currency? Sorry.
Yeah, currency. Yeah. Don't call it money.
It immediately devalues it, right? So just prepping the way for hyperinflation. I've been talking to friends. It's like, yeah, just wait. This house might be $1 million in a couple of years. After it's $20,000, it's going to be the roller coaster we go through here.
Yeah, I'm wondering how. I wonder how that deflation, then hyperinflation, is going to play out. I mean, what would you look at to? I mean, we've already seen the deflation in oil. I gotta believe that there's going to be deflation in wages because people going back to work are not going to get paid the same rate, although there's a minimum wage, right? So they can't pay them below that, but they're going to hire fewer workers. I don't know. I'm trying to think how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, and just how much this is going to affect regular business in general. Now that they know that we can work remotely and they don't all have to be piled into buildings, that's going to come into play too.
Right.
Or how many people that they just work with less. Oh, hey, suddenly we figured out we don't need as many people, or we looked at the books and we got to recover from this as well. So we're only bringing back a third of the people that were furloughed.
Yeah.
We only get unemployment for so long. Who knows? And that's just going to feed right into the housing market, right? Where people aren't making their payments. It's all one bubble after another is what it is right now.
Nisham has a question. Dan, can you cover this question from Slack chat MES Masterclass?
Yeah, I think he was asking about higher highs or lower lows if you're in a trade. And to be honest, Nisham, I don't look at that. It's not very often that I'm trading near the highest or the high of the day or the low of the day, but I do not personally take it into account whether I will exit a trade or not. It's all about everything you're talking about there. If you're watching the volume, if the momentum is behind you, stay with the regular rules.
Yeah, stick to the rules.
Slightly smiling face. I like how it modified his emoji there. They put in the text for the emoji. That's funny.
That is funny. It's like when sometimes I'm on Twitter and I don't want to put LMAO?
Yep.
I actually just spell it out last night.
That's your generation, Dave.
That's my generation. Well, it's like LOL. When in the mid 2000s, my kids were texting me LOL, and I always thought it said it always meant lots of love.
Right.
I found out it wasn't. That's not exactly what it meant.
Someone did that for a funeral too. They thought it meant that. They're like, "Why are you laughing? It's a funeral."
Yeah.
I'm trying to send my love. Andre wants to know how to get into your real-time update channel.
There's a link in your in the portal. It says a real-time update service. It's just it's a text file with a link in there that you can use. Now, if it's not working, it may have expired. I'll go in and check it and make sure the link is updated. So check back later today because I think it expires like every 30 days automatically.
You can create an indefinite one too. The initial one, the default is 30 days.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think the last time I created it, I made it permanent. So It's in a text file. It says real-time update service in the portal, and all you have to do is open that text file and then copy the link and put it in your browser. You should be all set.
I did the exact same thing on mine where it's like people are like, I can't get in. I'm like, what do you mean? It's
Yeah,
expired. I'm like, oh, I'll fix that.
yeah, yeah. I didn't realize it expired in 30 days either.
Yeah, they don't tell you. There should be a little warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're moving up there. Everybody's cruising around. Take a look at the.
You get any trades in this morning?
I did not. I was out in the garage this morning. I'm getting ready for, cross my fingers, don't jinx it, but our first camping trip this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we went and picked up the camper and doing some repairs and modifications. I was out there this morning getting ready, and I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday. Got to get back in the office.
Huh, yeah.
You guys are waiting for me. I think I did see, I briefly looked in the morning room. I'm not sure if people got in trades or not watching the early activity. We are about 1.5% across the board. And look at the IWM is at 3% up. Wow.
Yeah. Evidently, small businesses are benefiting in some way here.
They're really liking that 3 trillion.
Yeah.
I always like to watch the indexes along with the futures, as we know. And obviously the cash indexes as well. It looks like they're already starting to run out of gas.
And I don't know if you heard this or not, but the the German Constitutional Court is questioning the ECB, the European Central Bank, on whether or not their actions to provide stimulus is proportionate to the decline.
Really?
Yeah, they're questioning the ECB. That's interesting.
So are they questioning that they're doing too much or not enough?
Yeah, yeah, they're doing. I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. It just says that they're questioning. Evidently, they're reviewing the central bank's policies to determine if the ECB's action were proportionate. And what happened was, as soon as this came out, the euro to the U.S. dollar dropped like a rock. So it sounds like maybe they're thinking that, hey, the court is thinking that maybe this is not proportionate. Maybe this is not reasonable action for the ECB to take. That would set up an interesting scenario if that ever happened in the US, where Congress started hearings on whether or not it was reasonable that the Fed would print $3 trillion. That would throw confidence right out the window. People would start to question whether or not this is, hey, people are starting to get a little anxious about all of this money printing.
Right. It's interesting. I've noticed just in everyday life that more and more people have picked up on that. Where they say, did you hear that? They said they will never run out. It's like limitless money. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, exactly. So if they double the debt, if they go from 25 trillion to 50 trillion, it's okay. I mean,
yeah, at this point, what's the difference?
Yeah, or 100 trillion even.
Right. Remember how many years ago it was, they had to shut down the government because they had to vote for the debt ceiling? They just do it on a piece of paper now. Oh yeah, here's another one. Go.
Did you hear Buffett when he was doing his annual meeting for Berkshire?
I saw the stuff about him and the airlines is what I've seen recently. Did he have a different statement that came out?
Yeah, he came out and said during that, don't worry about the U.S. government defaulting.
Oh, I did see a clip of that.
Yeah, he says because when you issue your own bonds and you buy them all and have a printing press, you'll never default.
Yeah, you can easily pay yourself back.
Yeah, it's like borrowing from your 401k.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're just paying yourself back. And if you don't pay, you don't pay. Who cares? Right. You're just not paying yourself. That's all.
Yep.
The only problem is you keep printing and printing and printing, and then our little notes that are in our pocket keep getting worth less and less and less.
Oh, and here's a new one from yesterday. The U.S. Fed may resort to negative interest rates. I've seen that coming more and more in different countries that are already doing it. But there was once it's like, oh, wow, now they're even talking about it.
Yeah. I guess maybe we could take a look at the treasury yields again and see what they're doing, because I don't think they're going to go negative until we see rates start to decline.
Who's this? Is this a name I just don't remember from being at the Federal Reserve? I should know it's from my part of the town.
Who's that?
Huh?
Yeah, I've never heard of her.
The Fed should start doing it this week.
I don't know. It really depends on market, so we'd have to kind of look at the yields and see if they're, because like last time, I mean, it would be a shock if they did it off schedule, because they just had their meeting last week. So maybe that was a week old.
This says it came out May 4th.
Oh, it just came out.
Yeah.
Well, they'd have to have an emergency meeting to do that.
And there's something funny about those emergency meetings over the last 30 or 40 years.
There's only been a couple.
When they happen, we tend to go on a different monetary policy, right?
Yeah.
For the whole world.
Yeah.
Can I add in last month so I can see it, or do I have to jump both? Or can I just do current year? Let's just do 2020.
Yeah, because they're only going to show you 5 days on the latest one here.
So we're stuck at 0.1 still on the short term.
Long term is holding up.
Yeah, no real big changes there.
Yeah.
If I scoop back to just this month.
They only have the first and the fourth. So
since the month just changed, right?
Yeah.
But no drastic changes recently.
Yeah, I don't see any changes or reason for them to lower rates at this point. I would imagine when the 10-year gets down to, maybe 0.5% or 0.25%, then they're going to do it. Yeah. Andre says, Dave, what do you think about Peter Brandt and his classical technical analysis approach? I think it's okay. It works for him. Yeah. Peter's been around a long, long time, and he's got an approach that works for him. I think about a month and a half ago, he was talking about Bitcoin going up, XRP going up, stuff like that. He was kind of bearish about it before, but now he's kind of like bullish. But I don't really follow him that much. But yeah, he's been around a long time. I think his approach is probably sound.
Well, just in general, that's what you want to do, right? Whether you do a similar thing that Dave and I are doing here and take it and make it yours, is find what works for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, in fact, I sent out an email this morning. I did an interview with a guy who's like, I think, in my opinion, one of the best price action analysts that I've ever had the pleasure to know. And he's just absolutely amazing. Over the last year, he's given me a number of predictions about Forex rates, stocks, and XRP. And he's been right like so many times. And he's got a completely different approach. That is going to be an interesting session. I think you guys really need to check that out when it comes out. Either I'm shooting for tomorrow, but it'll probably be Thursday at the latest.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's one thing I traded years ago that I've always been curious to keep an eye on, because it is the whole Forex market. If you can understand their language when you read quantitative easing and quantitative tightening and dovish and hawkish and all the terminology that goes into the Forex industry, is you actually can tell which way something's going to go from like a pair, because it has to do it, because it's what runs the global economy on top of what's going on. So if they wanted to implode even worse than it already is, then they won't comply with their own policies that they tell you they're going to do.
Yeah, actually, there was a book back in the early 70s from Morton Schulman, and I think it's still available, about how anyone can make $1 million in, well, I think it was just how to make anyone can make $1 million, but it was basically on investing. And he had a chapter in there on currency rates and Forex. And it was interesting because he said basically the central bank or the leading authority, the Treasury Department or whatever, they would make an announcement saying, hey, yeah, we think our currency is a little bit too high. We're going to try to get it down a little better. They would signal in some way that they want to reduce the rates.
Yeah, right. They just don't tell you straight. They don't say, we're going to make it go up or down. They say it in their vernacular. So once you understand their vernacular, you know what's going to happen.
Right, exactly. Andre says, oh, do you know the video that Scott Foster guy did on YouTube has been taken down and been put somewhere else? No, he took it down because he revealed a little bit too much in there. And Scott is the guy I interviewed for the price action analysis videos that are coming out tomorrow or Thursday. I talked to him the other day, and he said, I took it down because it was a little too much revealed in there. He didn't want to reveal it, too much stuff. But he did have a pretty good and bullish analysis on XRP and actually the entire crypto market at that point. But yeah, it had nothing to do with a copyright or anything like that, or he took it down himself. Had nothing to do with YouTube.
Isaac had a quick question. If I'd move my targets, I do not. Once I set my levels, Isaac, I do not move them. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come, and I trade a different day. One part, if you haven't seen it yet, Isaac, is watch the advanced course in the MES Futures Masterclass, where it does talk about, when, what's the easiest way to say it? When things line up based on what's happening, there are shorter trades that you can take throughout the day if you see fit. I typically don't. As you guys all know, I typically don't trade after 11 o'clock Eastern. It's between that 7 and 11 window is the sweet spot. But that's not to say that there aren't other opportunities. So yeah, if an opportunity presents itself, I do talk about what those items are that make a good opportunity versus a bad one. So definitely review that again. If you haven't seen it yet, that'll help you out. It's not so much moving where your entry is, but just playing with what the market is giving you at that time so you can identify a good or a bad opportunity. You're welcome. Happy to help. And just a heads up, we've got about 15, 20 minutes. I do have another top of the hour to be ready for, so we won't go all the way to the top today. As the internals are taking a dive, we'll see if it's a fake out or not. They just, they filled up their pockets from the 3 trillion. They got to reshuffle to another pocket. Let's see. This trade, did I miss any? Nope, looks like we got them all still right. Yep. Okay. And we still see.
Scott reminds me very much of Eric Hoffer. I'll give anybody a gold star who knows who Eric Hoffer is. If you know, Dan, don't say. Anybody in the chat know who Eric Hoffer is? Hoffer. Somebody's got to know.
Jimmy Hoffer's brother?
No.
No?
No. Okay, so you didn't know, so you can guess.
No, I was the filler. You know what, this fun time talking about filler real quick is if anybody knows him, yeah, throw it in there, see if you win Dave's gold star for today. But so we're talking about different things to watch, right? Since everybody's mainly at home and doing certain things. Is I introduced the wife to The Sopranos, and we're on the last season now.
Oh, wow.
Did you ever watch that when it came out 10 years ago?
I watched the first season, but I just kind of stopped after that. I forgot what happened. I just didn't watch it.
Yeah, we're in the final season 6, and it's I I never did see the end when it was live or when it came out, so I'm curious to see how they finish the series.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think everybody died. I mean, even.
Dave, shh.
Oh, sorry. I don't know, but I didn't see it. So sorry, I'm just guessing. But the way they live their lives, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
So nobody knows who Eric Hoffer is.
No one's guessing. Apparently, you got the.
Oh,
You got
he is probably one of the greatest philosophers and social commentary philosophers in this century. Yes, Scott is a student of Huddleston and ICT. Yes, and yeah, they're pretty incredible. But he reminds me very much of Eric Hoffer. Eric Hoffer is the son of a German immigrant. He's been a gold miner, a migrant field worker, and a longshoreman. He's not a scholar in the common sense, but a student of extraordinary perception and insight. Eric Hoffer, this is one of his books in our time. His most famous book was
The True Believer.
True Believer. Yes, that was his most famous book. But the guy, he was a longshoreman, but an incredible philosopher, extremely perceptive. And Scott is a truck driver. And he just, I guess he has a lot of time to think. He has a lot of time to go over charts. And he's been studying this stuff for years. He has a system that I have basically replaced. There's time frames though, right? So like your MES masterclass is perfect for the short-term trader.
Yep.
And it's actually very similar to what he's talking about, resistance levels, support levels, and some other thing. But he goes into price detail much more specifically. And so he's following the smart money on a larger time frame, on the monthlies, the dailies, and the 1 hour charts. And he's looking at price movement. He called when XRP was going up in February up to around 30 cents, it looked very bullish to me. I thought it was going to keep going. And he said, no, it's going to hit 14. I asked him to do analysis. I said, nah, I don't think it's going to hit 14. And it hit 14. It actually hit 11, and it closed at 15 cents that same week that he called it. But he didn't give me the time, but he said, yeah, the next move is going to be 14 cents. So luckily, I was able to accumulate some more based on his analysis. But he's called currency pairs, he's called stocks, he's called, all kinds of stuff over the past year. Now, when he was developing his method, it was so complicated, I couldn't understand it. I couldn't. He tried to explain it to me last year, and we did a couple of videos. I said, this is too complicated. I don't know what's going on. But he has gotten it to the point now where it's so simple and easy to understand. And that's what we recorded. So it's very interesting. It's very exciting. I think you're going to love it.
Nice.
Dave, you posting videos on YouTube? Oh, no way. No way, Isaac. Sorry. No, these are, I hate to tell you guys, but we're going to charge something for him because Scott is, this is just absolutely brilliant. It's taken years for Scott to refine his methods down to a point where it's absolutely perfect. And I've actually changed the longer term technical analysis stuff that I do, and even the shorter term stuff completely on his method. And so I've only been using it now for about a week, and it has worked perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. And it is very applicable to short-term trading. It's more like swing trading, though. It's not like the MES Masterclass where you're in and out in a few minutes. This is swing trading. Definitely applicable to swing trading.
Yeah, so Sean was just asking there if it's applicable. So think about it as, I'm assuming it probably isn't, or it depends on your risk tolerance. But the reason that the MES Masterclass works so well is we are using leverage with futures contracts, right? So you can make a decent amount of return in a short amount of time.
Right.
This type of thing, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but when you're talking swing, you can do less volatile instruments and still make the same amount of returns where you have less risk because you're not using the leverage. That's
right. So yesterday, when the market was down, based on his method, I went long. I took some options in DAI, okay, as a hedge because I'm short DAI already. So I took options in DAI and alongside it around 368. And obviously they're doing very, very well today.
Yeah, with the small gap up overnight, they're doing slightly well.
Yeah. So I'm getting ready to exit that because it's hit another point that that he identified in his methodology that would indicate a reversal here. But yeah, I would not have been able to identify a point at which I could go long this market, especially after yesterday. We're down like 368 points in the overnight futures market, and it definitely looked very, very negative yesterday morning. I am still using some of the indicators, for example, the balance of power. I used that yesterday, and it started to, the balance of power started to fade. It didn't look like there was a lot of selling going on. And we also got an up signal on the 1 hour chart on the price signals, the SM price signals. So I'm going to use those, but I don't use anything else. I don't use moving averages. I don't use any of that stuff. And I'm doing it strictly based on his methods. And
Can't wait.
Amazing.
Yeah, as much as I like the short term and it works, and I'm going to continue to do it, I would just love to be able to have stuff that sits there and you come in, oh, let's close it out in 3 days or 2 days or 1 day. Those are nice.
Yes. And boy,
it's a nice 1-2 punch.
Yeah. And the price action started at about 7 a.m. yesterday morning on the futures. I could see what was going on by 9. By 11 a.m., I was in. Boom. Hit it beautifully.
Nice.
So it's very precise price action analysis. But no, there's no way I'm putting these up on YouTube. And that's one of the reasons why he took down his analysis on XRP on YouTube. He just put too much into it. No, because Wealth Masterclass is my thing. Because Scott is involved in this, it's really his baby. We're going to do it on another website, so it's going to be on a separate website.
Scott deserves the credit for sure.
Yeah, he deserves all the credit. I just interviewed him, so he's not yet. I should have one out tomorrow, but anybody who is either in Dan, in your elite program or in the Wealth Masterclass will receive a fairly good discount.
Okay. I will make sure to let the members know.
Yeah, but they have to be elite.
Okay. And if you don't know what elite is, that means you have the complete market timer system and you are a Premium Plus member. So some people joined all at once. Some people have done both. So if you have both, you are in that group. That's what that means.
Right.
So for the ES trades, there's a helpful or existing market internals for pre-market. There are no internals for pre-market. Internals are only when the market's open, Isaac. So that's why the price signals work without internals.
Yeah, SM means strong market price signals. They can be used any hour of the day, pre-market, aftermarket, evening session, or during the day. If it's labeled MT for market timer, those are only internals. Those are only market internals, which are only available from 9:30 a.m. Eastern time to 4 p.m. when the market closes. Like the oscillator, the MT oscillator is only available during market hours.
The shop says, what about the MT system? Is it still applicable to swing trades from Scott as confirmations?
Scott doesn't use them at all. I use them as confirmation. So I've been using the BOP and the price signals. But he doesn't use those at all. He just uses strict price. He does use the average true range. He likes average true range. That's the only indicator he uses. He doesn't use EMAs, SMAs, Fibonacci's. He uses no indicators at all, just price. It's incredible. It really is. All he does is look at price and say, "Yep, this is what smart money is doing." He follows smart money. Andre says, are you accumulating XRP on dips from now on, or just buying whatever price is around 20 cents, which is so low anyway? Me personally, I have so much XRP that I've accumulated over the last 3 years. I started branching out into XLM and Link, just
That's also
diversifying a little bit. I think they're all going to go up eventually, but I have so much XRP now, it just makes sense to diversify a little bit.
that was kind of my thought as well. Whereas I've stopped accumulating it as well. So it's like, all right, where can I put a little, small bag here, small bag there? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love how you say it's like you have too much.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's at the point where I almost have too much. It's like,
And then you always want to evaluate where you are, right? And your entire game plan, whether it's crypto, whether it's precious metals, whether it's stocks, bonds, blah, blah, blah. You're always reevaluating where you are. So if you have too much of one thing, you want to diversify that. So that's why we're looking at more different cryptos.
Right, exactly. But I've been accumulating for 3 years.
Right.
So I've got what I need. I think it doesn't make any sense to accumulate anymore at this point.
Exactly.
And so I do like XLM. I think it's a sister to XRP, which is the brother, if you want to look at it that way. I like Link because of what they're doing. They are kind of the intermediary between a smart contract and an oracle, which can provide a trigger to a smart contract to decide if somebody's going to get paid, if somebody has to do this, obligations in a smart contract. I think it's an extremely interesting project, but do your own due diligence.
Yeah, and as much as they're blowing up the regular currency, it's only a matter of time till digital assets are mainstream.
Yeah, that's true.
And
if you don't have your bags full yet, Andre, XRP is still my number one holding.
Yeah, keep packing.
Yeah.
Well, at least I would keep packing if I didn't have enough. We are getting close on time, ladies and gentlemen. So if there's any final questions, let us know. There must have been some little mini news thing that came out for a second that wanted people to think they were going short, so they got them. Maybe it was a squeeze, one or the other. Who knows?
Well, I mean, oil has been driving some of the stuff, and we're up almost 20% on oil today. So, did we mention this before on USO?
We didn't talk USO today.
Okay, USO was trading remember when futures went negative?
Yeah.
USO is based on the futures contract, the nearest term futures contract. Well, it can't trade. It was trading so low, like $1.20 or something like that. It was or $2.
Yep.
It was trading so low that they did a 8-to-1 reverse split.
I saw that. I think it was last week.
Yeah. It was last week. And so now it's at $21 again because they said, boy, if oil gets hit again and we're going to be trading at 25 cents on USO, and they can't do that because I forgot the reason, but they actually changed the algorithm that they use to determine the price before that when it went negative, when the futures went negative, and now they did an 8-to-1 reverse split.
Yeah, they make the rules.
Unbelievable. And so the guy who was trying to pick up a few shares, a few USO at $2 or $1.50, now has to pay 21.
Yep.
It's just unbelievable. They change the rules as they go. However, I would never recommend USO at all, period, zero for anybody, because of the fact that they're changing the rules as they go, number one, but they're also using futures contracts in the near term. And now they've added, I think, 6-month out futures contracts in their algorithms to determine the price of USO. It's all very sketchy to me. I would not do it. I would not use it.
So Sean's got a final question for you there about the price system coming out and drawdown potentials. I'll give you my 2 bits as Dave reads it. I think that's where you can control your risk especially if you're using options contracts where you can be 1, 2, 5, 10, 100. You decide your risk level. So yeah, if it does potentially move one way or the other, it's within your risk tolerance, and then the master will tell you the real answer.
Yeah, no, you absolutely have to have. You still have to use risk. You have to manage your money like just like any other type of system. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's no way that you can avoid that. It has nothing to do with. This is not a trading system, though. It's a trading system that you can build on, and actually, it's a methodology for reading price action, and it's extremely accurate. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take what he's teaching and I'm going to put it into. So the follow up to this is going to be me trading it. And so I'm going to be trading it on a swing trade basis and show you the results and kind of show you what the where the risk tolerance is, where the stop levels are, and the whole bit. So yeah, but I mean, it's really incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Andre says, you know what? You know that you can now trade futures of XRP also? No, I did not know that. Not in the United States anyway. Andre, is that something that you can do in the United States? I know they have XRP futures in Europe.
Yeah, BitMEX I see. Is that over there?
Yeah, BitMEX has them. I don't like BitMEX, but yeah, I know you can do it in Europe. I don't know about the US though.
He just likes all the upside. He says there's just so much upside in XRP and crypto in general. It does not make sense to go to gold, silver for such long-term right. Well, I would say it's not one or the other, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely not. Unless it's Binance.us, I don't believe there's an exchange in the US that offers them. No, they've not come to the US unless it's Binance.us. But in New York, I can't use Binance.us. So I wish. I mean, although I don't think I would trade XRP futures. Though. I don't think so. Yeah, unless I used it as a hedge, maybe.
Yeah, there's not enough that we talked about in other discussions where, just the volume and the real price discovery isn't there to be able to do that, in my opinion, as well. So that's why I just see it as a long-term investment still.
Yeah. I wouldn't. There's also I know Dan's got to go here, but do not let Nexo borrow your crypto. They have had a big problem with the decline in March in cryptocurrencies, and they wiped out people that were in leverage positions who borrowed against their crypto, and they liquidated them not in alignment with what they said they were going to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a lot of people try to upload more crypto to the platform in order to avoid getting liquidated when the drop happened.
Yep.
And technically, they couldn't get it up there fast enough in order to top up their account, and they got liquidated, and then so it was a mess.
No good. Wow. Yeah, stay away from that.
Yeah, I don't think XRP futures is going to take off until they, at least in the U.S., until we get some legislation on it.
Definitely.
I wouldn't stake anything. You're talking about getting a small percentage return on a staking. I wouldn't stake anything at this point until the market matures a little bit. The only thing I would do is maybe the 32 Ether. If you can accumulate 32 Ether, you can have voting rights in the new Ethereum 2.0, and you can earn interest on those 32 Ether. That's kind of interesting. That's about the only thing I would do at this point. Out of all the cryptos, I would. Ethereum. So the Ethereum, it's symbol cryptocurrency Ethereum. Is that what you're asking? 32 Ether?
Yeah, I think you were saying, I think it's 32 of them, right?
Yeah, you have to have at least 32 of them in order to be able to have voting rights and then also be able to stake them and get, it's a pretty good return, I guess. You can get like, I don't know, 8 or 10% a year on it.
So Ethereum's $200 right now. So
Yeah.
you buy 32 of them for $200 and you have voting rights.
Which is what, about $6,000 or so.
Right. So there's Ethereum.
Yeah. All right. I know you got to run.
Yep, I do got to take off. Glad you guys joined us as always.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you on Thursday, and Any questions, let us know. And I'm looking forward to the new price stuff, Dave. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, I'm telling you, I took a bunch of notes. It's gonna be eye opening. I guarantee it. All right, guys, have a great day.
Take it easy, Isaac. Andre, good to see you. Thank you.
Andre, hopefully tomorrow, maybe Thursday.
Okay, sounds good.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.